Hi guys, today we are going to talk about our 6.7 simple interest notes. Our I can statement: I can use the simple interest formula to find interest earned or paid, annual interest rates, and amounts paid on loans. Our interest, so interest is money paid or earned for the use of money. Principal is the amount of money borrowed or deposited. And simple interest is money paid or earned only on the principal. Okay, our interest formula, we are going to have I equals P times R times T. So usually you'll see it I equals P R T, but each of them are being multiplied together. So I is your simple interest, P is your principal, R is your interest rate as a decimal. That's really important to remember. And T is in time, and it's based off of years. That's really important to remember as well. Okay, so let's look at example 1. Sample 1, we want to find the interest earned. So you put $500 into a savings account. The account earns 3% simple interest per year. What is the interest earned after 3 years? So I'm going to start by writing my formula. I equals PRT. Says you put $500 in a savings account. Because you are starting with that, that is your principal amount. That is what you're putting into the account. So where you see your P, you are going to put 500. Your rate is the 3%. So I'm going to multiply that as a decimal, 0.03. Then I'm going to multiply it by time. And again, we have to remember that our time was in years. So I'm going to multiply that by 3. So I have 500 times 0.03 times 3 years. So my interest, my I is what's left. My interest after 3 years is going to be $45. Okay, so that's how much I've made in just those 3 years by leaving that money alone in my account. But this next question says, what is the balance? So balance is a total. So how much are we still going to have into our account after those 3 years, after that $45 has been added into that? So our I, the interest, plus the principal is going to equal our balance. So our principal, we started with $500. Our interest that we earned was $45. Don't forget when you line these up. So we have 500 and 45. I'm going to add those together. So I get $545 in my bank account. So my balance is $545. Okay, so that would be what our answer for B is. Okay, let's take a look at example 2. You put $1,000 in an account. The account earns $100 in simple interest in 4 years. What is the annual interest rate? So again, I'm going to start with my I equals PRT. Let's try that again. It says you put $1,000 in the account. That's what you start with. So that's our principal. So I'm going to put that right underneath the P. It says the account earns $100 in simple interest. So my I is the 100. It says 4 years. That's my T. And it's in years, so I don't have to change anything. So I put that under the T. And then it says, what is the annual interest rate? Well, that's what I'm looking for. So I'm going to leave my R here. So I'm going to do a couple steps here. I'm going to take the 1,000 and multiply it by 4. So I get 4,000 times R. And I'm going to bring down what I have left. So equals 100. Well, I want to get my R all by itself because that's the rate that I want to find. So I'm going to divide by 4,000. So that leaves me with R equals 0.025. Well, we want it as a percent, the rate. So I shift this over, I multiply it by 100. So my interest rate is 2.5%. Go ahead and pause the video. You can try the next two on your own. Okay, let's look at example 3. We are finding an amount of time. So a bank offers 3 savings accounts. The simple interest rate is determined by the principal. How long does it take an account with a principal of $800 to earn $100 in interest? So we have some information over here on the right-hand side. So a 3% rate is going to be used for money that is more than $5,000. 2% is going to be for money that is between $500 and $5,000, and less than $500 is 1.5%. So we're going to start with our I equals PRT. It says a bank offers 3 savings account. The simple interest rate is determined by the principal. How long does it take an account with a principal of $800? So my $800 can go under my principal, my P. The rate depends on how much money I put in. Well, I put in more than $500, so I'm not using this one. My 2% is what I want to use because I have $800 and that falls in that amount of money. So my rate is going to be 0.02. And my time, that's what I'm looking for. That's how long. So my time is going to stay my variable. And I want to earn $100. So that's my interest, is $100. So I'm going to multiply 800 times 0.02. That gives me 16t. And I bring down my 100. Then I'm going to divide by 16. My time left is 6.25 years. So it's going to take just over 6 years to make $100 in that bank account. All right, let's look at example 4. You borrow $600 to buy a violin. The simple interest rate is 15%. You pay off the loan after 5 years. How much do you pay for the loan? So again, I want to use my interest formula. I equals PRT. My goodness. Okay, so our principal is $600. Our rate is 15%, so times 0.15. And you pay off the loan after 5 years. So we want to find out how much we're going to pay for the loan. So our time is 5 years. So how much interest are we going to end up accruing? So when I multiply all 3 of these things together, I get $450. So that means after 5 years, I'm going to have to pay an additional $450 back. So I still have to pay my $600 that I originally borrowed, plus my $450 that I accrued in interest. So when I add those two together, I get $1,050 that I have to pay back after borrowing only $600. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video and try the next 2 on your own. All right, we're going to try some other examples here. There are some that are going to be left for you to do. I do want to try just a couple, so we have a couple more practice. So let's look at number 5. So we're going to start with our I equals PRT. We have $600 that we're starting with. That's our principal at a 5% rate, so 0.05, and our time is 2 years. So when I multiply all of those things together, I end up with $60. But in our directions, it says find the interest earned and the balance of the account. So the interest that it has earned is $60. The balance, remember, is the principal plus interest. So the principal was the $600 in there originally. The interest is the $60 that I just found. So my total is $660 in my account. So again, we had two parts to that question. Okay, let's skip down to number 8. This one is slightly different than the ones we've tried before because this one says 30 months. So remember when we're talking about time, we have to talk about time in years. So I want to find out what 30 months is in years. Well, 30 months equals 2.5 years. What you want to do is take 30 and divide it by 12. Okay, and that's where we get our 2.5 because there are 12 months in 1 year. So that's why we would do the 30 months divided by the 12 months to figure out how many years it is. So I'm going to take my formula again, I equals PRT. I take my $1,800, $1,800 as my principal. My rate is 6.5%, so 0.065. And then I'm going to multiply it by my 2.5 years. When I multiply all of those things together, I get $292.50. And don't forget, this question had two parts to it. So this is my interest, but I also want to find my balance. So my balance is going to be my 1,800 plus my 292.50. Okay, so our total that we should get is $2,092.50. So that's our balance in our account after 2.5 years. Okay, go ahead and pause the video and you can try the rest of them on your own.